Coming up, 4 runs required. This is 6, and Pakistan have won.
Australia have won the World Cup of 2011. Australia are the World Cup champions of 1999.
What a victory for the Sri Lankans. A fantastic...
Here's the man who's been largely responsible for us over the last.
The first World Cup, that is Australia's joy, and England.
Hello to all of my viewers, and I welcome you on the Match Point, a brand new episode. And today's episode is all about what's happening in between. Australia takes on India, and Australia in their home series and India is away. And the first match has been played on and we are heading towards the second one. First of all, in my show there will be the headlines, and after the headlines we will be discussing the match between Australia and Team India. So the headlines, the major headlines of the today's show, that India has done it. India has done it for the very first time, but what they have done, we will tell you later on what they have done for the first time. But the shortest headline, that India beat Australia in the series opener by 31 runs, and this is the shortest margin of away victory by India when they are not playing in their home and when they are playing away, and India is down under. A brilliant and outclassed victory in which they outclassed their opponent Aussies in their den. And India's man of the crisis once again, Cheteshwar Pujara, who remained the man of the match for this very match. Adelaide Test was the very first test since at the home without having Stephen Smith and David Warner back in the team. So Australia, Aussies were playing without them, I think after 2010. Nearly the 8 years have been spent, and the Adelaide Oval has every time seen these two iconic giants in the Aussies team. The last time it was December 2010 in the Ashes series when they saw these two in the since that time. This is the first time Adelaide is missing these two Aussies giants. Pakistan, the other news for the Pakistani point of view, the Pakistani followers who are watching us, Pakistan, be geared up. I will be bringing up the exciting news for the South African tour. The Pakistan will take on Springboks in the boxing test, the famous boxing test, and Pakistan is geared up, all fit, and we will give you the news what Pakistan camp is doing and what's in, what's out in the Pakistan camp. In the meantime, Pakistan Super League, the followers who are following the Pakistan Super League PSL 2019 drafting, I have told you in the previous show, and now the schedule has been released. First game is on February 14th February in Dubai, a special day, a Valentine Day. So happy Valentine to the Pakistan Super League because the opener will be on the Valentine Day and the final has been decided that will be played in National Stadium Karachi on 17th of March 2019. Islamabad versus Lahore. I mean Qalandar versus United will be the very first match of the Pakistan Super League. A new venue has been added to the Pakistan Super League. Which is the new venue? We will tell you. That venue is Abu Dhabi. Pakistan's alternate home, Abu Dhabi, where recently Pakistan test record is getting very bad, but Pakistan is going to play PSL matches in Abu Dhabi, and this will be the very first time when Abu Dhabi will be added to the schedule. 3 games to be played this time in Gaddafi Stadium, Lahore, where final of the 1996 World Cup was played, and 5 games would be there in Karachi National Stadium, which is also said to be the Pakistan den once in the test cricket, when English team became the only team in 2000 when they beat Moeens Khan Pakistan for the very first time in 46 years. So National Stadium will be hosting a lot of matches, including the big grand finale. And now the next headlines is again Indian point of view. For interesting news for you, what's in, what's out, who is earning and who is not earning. So I will tell you the list. We will start from low and then we will go towards the high end. So the Forbes has released the richest Indian cricketers list of all time now in 2018, because we are at the very end of 2018. The richest sportsman is Suresh Raina with a 17 crore and 2.3 in the million US dollars the worth. Bhaveshna Kumar 17.3, Ashwin, Ravichandra Ashwin with 18.9, Hardik Pandya 28.5 crore with 4 million US dollar the worth, and PV Sindhu, the badminton champion, 36.5 crore rupees and 5.2 million for the PV Sindhu. MS Dhoni 101.8 crore with 14.4 million. Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar with 80 crore rupees, and the top of the line is none other but the batting Mysterio Virat Kohli with 228.1 crore. Would you believe 32 million US dollars the worth of the Virat Kohli? He is the richest sportsman ever. The record has been broken so far after 1947. He is the richest man, richest sports person ever in the history of India and the team India. Indian captains now to win. When we talk about Virat Kohli, the next headline should be regarding this great man Virat Kohli. Virat Kohli, the batting Mysterio, he became the only man in the history of India and Asia to beat the opponents in the Sina. Beating the opponents in Sina countries, South Africa, England and Australia. Lot of his opponents have done it in South Africa as well as in England, but they have not done in Australia. The feat which this guy has achieved, none other Indian has achieved. Kohli has got now 3, Dhoni has got now 3 wins away in these countries, and Nawab of Patodi also at the 3. But still Kohli is playing, and I hope Kohli will cross them soon. The teams winning in Australia, the Indian captains, the maximum is the Bishan Singh Bedi in the late 70s with the 2 wins as an Indian captain. Virat Kohli, Gavaskar, Ganguly and Kumble having 1 each win in Australia. Let's see that the Bedi record will be equalized in this series or not, because India is in a very good mood, believe me, and in a very good chance of making this series. If India can't make this series up, I think next of the lifetime India cannot win, or any other Asian team cannot win against Aussies if India doesn't win this time. Rohit Sharma and Ravichandra Ashwin, the big man from the Indian dressing room. Sorry news for the Indian fans that they are out of the second test, ruled out due to the injury, and they will not be present. But team management has told that we will see that Ravichandra Ashwin is been hoping to fit for the next one later on. Today at the back If we go in the headlines, in 2009, India became the number one team for the very first time in the history of cricket. Before that time, India never became number one, and now it's 2018 and India is still number one. So hats off to the Indian team. Great news for the Indian fans. Something going on in Australia, so we will also jump to the Australia. The next news is about the Big Bash League, BBL, and which is being the news has been heard that they are replacing the traditional coin, the toss which has been over the years and over the century, it has been tossed with the famous Ashes series with the coin. There will be no more coin in the BBL for the future. What do you believe? What do you think that what's gonna happen? So I'm not kidding, I'm not joking, because it's match point and something interesting have to give you on this match point. It's my duty to transfer all the cricket data into the neurotransmitters of your brain. And what's that? Big Bash League is doing the toss with a bat, what you do in a street. So the street cricket will be played in the Big Bash League, and what we were doing in the childhood by putting the bat and throwing the bat on the ground, you will be seeing soon the same bat toss in this Big Bash League. Trivia factor before going to the end of the headlines, I may tell you that today in the 1990, one very important day, Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar, the icon of India, 1990 and now 2018. Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar became the youngest Indian to pick a ODI wicket in today's date and today. Sachin was at that time 17 years and 224 days. You will be interesting to know that whose record he has broken at that time or later on, who couldn't meet Sachin's brilliance with the age and youngest to take the wicket for India. Maninder Singh, their famous off spinner in the 1987 World Cup, he was 17 years and 268 days. His record has been smashed by Sachin Tendulkar in today's date. And then Harbhajan Singh came at the quite early age, but he couldn't make because he made it to the Indian team at 17 years and 287 days. Virat Kohli, we have to rush towards the end of the headlines. Virat Kohli now needs 393 runs from the rest of the three tests of the Australia versus India series. To do what? To break the record of great Sangakkara, Kumara Sangakkara, to have the most international runs in a one calendar year. And how much was that? 2868, 2868 runs he need to break the record of Sangakkara, and he need to score nearly 393 in precise if he wants to break this record. Kohli currently has 2476 runs in 2018 across all three formats. West Indies is playing with Bangladesh. West Indies beaten Bangladesh by 4 wickets in the second ODI, and the last 2 ODIs wins for the West Indies. And the man of the West Indies, their key man was once again Shai Hope, who was performing against Pakistan, who was performing against the subcontinent team, against India, and the highest scorer also versus Bangladesh. So here we may tell you before taking the break, there is a time for something, and the time is for the killer factor. Before starting the show, we will tell you what happened between Australia and India. Cheteshwar Pujara made 100, but this is not the killer factor. Killer factor is this, that Australia conceded 777th century international cricket. In the international cricket, they have conceded 777 now, 777 century in the cricket against any team versus any team. But this is not the killer factor. In this game, Cheteshwar Pujara century was 777th. But the important aspect is this, that the 444 century, the 444, when the first time it was seen, that century was made by Muin Khan of Pakistan in 1994. That century was against the Stephen Waugh Australian team who were on the tour of Pakistan. It's not the end of the killer factor, yet something more to come. Then it was the 555th international century in the history of cricket, and that was made by Yuvraj Singh, 2004, the huge Chandigarh guy. But the surprising thing was this, that was also made against Australia. So this is also not the end of the killer factor, because yet more something I have to tell you, and that was about the 666th international century that was made by Dilshan, the Sri Lankan batsman and the batting maestro in 2012. This is the killer factor, that century was also scored against the Aussies. Australia is the only team who is conceding the centuries at the round figures 444, 555, 666, 777. So the program is going on, the show must go on, and we will be giving you the huge news about what happened between Australia and India, what Australia did and how India came back into the match, and what was the wonder of Indian bowlers and what Virat Kohli did in this match. We will be telling you all in the match point. You can follow me on the YouTube page Greatest Empire USA with the same name on the Facebook and on the YouTube. Keep watching Match Point, and I will be right back. Welcome back after the break. The Adelaide Test was the first test in the Indian away series in the 2018. Before we end the 2018, the very important and a very exciting test matches are going in between India and Australia. For the subcontinent teams, it's always a big mountain and the big K2 to cross. And what is that K2? The Australian tour. An Australian tour, but this time Virat Kohli guys did it in style. The first test at the Adelaide Oval, India versus Australia. Since 1996, Australia's test record at the Adelaide Oval, I want to tell you, always a happy hunting ground for the Australia. They have played 23 games over here and they have won out of 23, 17 games they have won at Adelaide Oval. They lost 2, drawn 4, and their win percentage on this ground is 73.91. And I will also compare the Indian batting maestro Virat Kohli's capabilities at this very ground and the Pakistan's capability on this very ground. There are some huge numbers with me today. So interestingly, at this very ground, India lost only, as I told you, they won 17 times and they lost only 2 games. So when they lost these 2 games, it's very interesting. One time they lost to the traditional rivals. Who are the traditional rivals? You know, at the Ashes versus England in December 2010 within 1 innings and 71 runs. And the second time they lost on this ground. This is a very key point. If you note, they lost by 4 wickets in 2003 versus touring Indian time, who were having the likes of Saurav Ganguly, Rahul Dravid, Vivis Lakshman. They were in the team and they lost to this Indian team. So very important to lift the Indian morale on this very ground, because India went toward them last time always struggling, but at the Adelaide they outclassed their opponents in their home. 11 times India toured Australia for the test series so far. Leading run scorer for the India in each series, I just accumulated some data for you that who was leading them in the test match series. In the 1947-48, when there was a first series, their Vijay Hazari, their captain and the skipper, he was leading the series at that time. And then Rusi Surti in the 1967-68, Vishwanath, the great Vishwanath, they are 2 down. He was leading the series in 1977 and 78 when the famous victory happened under the captaincy of Bishan Singh Bedi at that time. And then the SM Patel in 1980 and 81, and then Sunil Gavaskar took the team over here in the 85-86, and he was the one when he was the leading run scorer. And then throughout 1991, 1992 and the second tour 1999 and 2000, Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar was one and the only who was the leading run scorer in this tour. And then in 2003 and 4 there was a close competition between Ganguly and Dravid, but Rahul Dravid at the end outclassed his vice captain, and later on his vice captain, but at that time his skipper Sourav Ganguly, and he was the leading scorer. And then in 2007-8 at the end again Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar, and then 2011-12 and 14-15 now one and the only batting mystery of Virat Kohli leading the Indian most run getter in all these series in the recent times and in the recent decade, which started after 2010. So test hundreds, something very interesting I want to tell you, that just see how immature this Aussies team was as compared to the professional Indian team. That's why I told you that India is in a good position to take the series on and to make some unbelievable record which no one has done it in 147 years history of cricket. Current Australian squad are having 1700s, and alone the Indian skipper Virat Kohli is having 2400s. And the 200s, if I go, current Australian squad having none of the 200. No one among the Australian squad has made the 200s, and alone the Indian skipper Virat Kohli is having 6 in his pocket. Kohli at the Adelaide Test, it was very important before the match when the media was grabbing the news and they was putting the pressure on Australia as well as on the India. One key point for the India, that this was a happy hunting ground for Virat Kohli. Virat only failed once while making 22 runs. He has made 4 innings. In the rest of the 3 innings, he has made 116, 115, 141. 3 centuries on the trot on this very ground. I will give you the details of those all. So amazing batting average of 98.5 Virat is having with his team, and the worst Aussie batting unit, if I say you, in the last 30 years since the Kim Hughes rebel side they played against Pakistan, and they came on the 85-86 tour when Javed Miandad was captaining Pakistan. Imran was out of the team because of the Kerry Packer. So in those days, since I take the poorest team I have seen at that time, the Kim Hughes team, and when the Alan Border was building up the team before the 87 World Cup, and this is the team which we can compare. But still so far I may grade that this is the weakest team so far we have seen. And if you go to the Indian team after the Rahul Dravid and Sourav Ganguly, might be I have a two different opinion from the Indian fans who are watching my show, that this is the second best team, Indian team ever played in the history. But might be now I say overall, if you say, because I say not the second best, the cricket critics say that this is the second best team, but I say that this is the best team which India is playing. Because at the time of Sourav Ganguly, I know he has put the spirit of win in the Indian team. The great batsman Lakshman was there, Dravid was there, Ganguly was there, lot of batting stamina was there in the Indian bench. But the spirit of bowling, India was not as strong as India right now. This match which India have won not because of Virat Kohli. This match has been won because of an Indian bowling. So कुछ जिद्दत पैदा हो रही है, कुछ नयापन आ रहा है इंडियन टीम के अंदर. Indian team is doing something extraordinary. So this is so far what do I believe is the most strongest team ever India has sent to the Australia. No test at the Gabba where the last touring captain win, and that was only Sir Vivian Richards. Otherwise, the touring captain is always struggling in India. If India don't win this time, I think they will not be able to win in the rest of their life. They will have to win the series if they want to conquer the Australian continent. So coming quickly on the Australian batting lineup, Australian opener, the Marcus Harris made his test debut at the Adelaide. His emotional family was in the dressing room when he took the first run. His mom, she was crying at when they showed the box of his parents sitting over there. So great time for Marcus. He was opening with the right-hander Aaron Finch. So which meant that Australia has not had still two right-handed openers. So one right, one lefty combination, same which Pakistan was using back in the 90s, same was happening with Australia. So interesting stuff was this, that the last time when Australia has the two right-handed openers, because previously also when the Warner was coming, this phenomena was working and now still working. So it means the last time when Australia has seen the two right-handed openers, it was Greg Billevett and Michael Slater who opened at Wellington for Australia in March 2000. After March 2000, Australia never saw the two right-handed openers. So this was something again very interesting. Kohli ultimately winning the toss for the first match and then decided to bat on the pitch. Virat Kohli's record when he wins the test, this is the X factor of my match point. The test he have played 20, and while winning the toss he have won 17. Would you believe? 17 times he conquered after winning the toss. And how many times he lost? He never lost when he wins the toss. He drew 3 times. This is something extra amazing. In 7 previous away tests, he won the test. India went on to win 6 away tests and he draw 1 game in the away games when Virat wins the toss. And versus Bangladesh, Fatahullah 2015 also we have seen the same stuff. KL Rahul and Murli Vijay opening the batting for India, but not the happy tunes for India. Something which India was not expecting after winning the toss, that happened. Again the batting failure and both crumbled cheaply to the Australian paceman. But then the life was coming to them because Cheteshwar Pujara has yet to come to the crease. The last time 2 right-handed, as I told you about the Australian openers, so something I want to tell you about the Asian openers against Australia in Australia. The last time when 2 right-sided Sri Lankan batsmen opened the test batting, that was December 1995, more than 20 years, and they were Roshan Mahanama and Chandika Hathuru Singha who did it at MCG. And still no one can do, because all Indian and Pakistani teams, they were having the alternate openers with the right-left combo. So this was also pretty much interesting if you compare with the Aussie combo of the right-handers and the left-handers. After the openers went chiefly, Pujara anchored the innings, and the India was at that time 41 for 4, would you believe, and losing their first 4 wickets for less than 50. It's the 75% win rate. This was something very amazing. On this very ground, Adelaide, the track showed that previously the teams who were batting first and they threw the wicket, 4 or 5 wickets, less than 50 runs, they were having the win percentage of more than 75. This was something very amazing facts for the Adelaide ground. And if you see why I say the amazing fact, because this happened back in the past, 2016-17, South Africa did it with this much wickets losing, and then Pakistan did it in 1978 and 1979 when there was an era of Imran Khan, Sikandar Bakht and Sarfaraz Nawaz, and then England doing it in 1886 and 1887 in the inaugural matches of the cricket in those days, in the first 5 matches in the history of cricket. That time it happened and all won. Only team, the unlucky team who lost it because of this percentage. That was Bangladesh in 2003, who lost the first 4 or 5 wickets below 50 and ultimately lost the game also. India and Lunch were 56 for 4 at 27 overs. The last time India batted first in the opening test of a series in Australia was at Gaba in the 1991 and 92. You remember that tour of Sanjay Manjrekar and Kapil Dev's and the Sachin Tendulkar tour, when they played with the Australian team just before the 1992 World Cup. They were there for the preparation of the World Cup, and they were meant to be the best team, the touring team, who would have a chance to play before the World Cup for 2 months in Australia. They were at that time 53 for 4 and later on dismissed for 239, and the same exactly ditto copy, same thing happened in this very test. India batting disaster started when after the openers Kohli gone on 3. This was the first time after his low score of 22 at Adelaide, when Kohli went out cheaply on 3, his first single digit score in Adelaide across all the formats, whether T20, whether Test cricket or ODI. He hit 4 centuries over here. I was telling you in the beginning in the headlines, he made 90 not out in the previous 8 innings. The last time when he played, that was the highest, which include his maiden test century also in this ground, twin centuries on the captaincy debut, World Cup century versus Pakistan, if you remember the World Cup game, and also his highest T20 score also on this very ground he made Adelaide Oval. Pujara ultimately playing brilliantly down the order, Rohit Sharma 35 and Pant 25. And regarding the Rishabh Pant, I want to tell you that they have got the magnificent replacement of MS Dhoni, who is tracking down in the middle, who is making the innings. Rishabh Pant, in the same manner, he is building up the innings like the Indian wicketkeeper. Whether you see the Syed Kirmani, whether you see this man, but Rishabh Pant is just as genius as Mahindra Singh Dhoni, and I will tell you at the end what and which records he has broken, Rishabh Pant. And Rishabh Pant, he was playing very good with the 25, very valuable runs down under, but Rishabh Pant plays 16.7% false shot when he defends in the Test cricket. And in 2018, Virat Kohli plays 24% of false shot when he defends. So it means there is nothing wrong in the technique. What Rishabh was doing it in the pressure of Australian soil, that cost him a wicket. It shows. So we have to go to a break, but before going to a break, I may tell you that Pujara was playing brilliantly, and he showed how to make an innings, how to build up an innings. He is playing usually with the 2 hands on the back, and he is usually struggling on the balls which are coming above the shoulder height, but he told the other Pakistani and the Indian batsmen and the Asian batsmen how to play on the low bouncy wickets like Adelaide Oval. He was brilliant, and he was very unlucky to run out on a magnificent throw from the Australian fielding side. So the story goes on, and we will be continuing right from here what happened after Pujara's brilliant 100 and India building up the innings. We will take a short break, and after a short break, when I will come back, we will discuss the rest of the Indian innings, and I will tell you what the bowlers did for India and what wonders could not do the Australian team. Keep watching Match Point. You are tuned in on eAwaaz. Welcome back on the Match Points. We were discussing India versus Australia down under Adelaide Test, the first one which India has won by 31 runs. You are watching Match Point, and we are in the mid of a story where India is going to pile up some runs and giving some target to the Australian team. So the interesting stuff before going to the break, I was telling you about the Cheteshwar Pujara, that he got run out in this match. So very interesting fact that Cheteshwar Pujara's run out. Only 2 batsmen have run out 4 times in a year in a test. Cheteshwar Pujara in 2018 and Bill Lawry in 1964. Those who are not knowing Bill Lawry, I may tell you, I think the Pakistani point of view, all my Pakistani fans, they will be knowing Bill Lawry. But might be some other match point followers may not know about Bill Lawry. Bill Lawry is the man who said it's up in the air and it's going to be a victory in the World Cup. When the Pakistan was winning the World Cup, the man on the microphone, he was none other but the Bill Lawry. Bill Lawry has a record of 4 run-outs in 1964 and Chedeshwar Pujara has tied up this unwanted record with him. Pujara run-outs in the Test cricket, something amazing. 2010 since he started actively playing the Test cricket, 2010 to 2017, 4 times he has run out, and alone in 2018 now he has run out 4 times now. He has equalized his decade record in the 1 year now. Pujara at the Adelaide 2014 first inning, he was dismissed. By the courtesy of the bowling of the Nathan Lyon, and the second also Nathan Lyon. 2014 and 2018, first inning he was run out, and the second inning, would you believe, again Nathan Lyon. Nathan Lyon, although Australia lost the match, but Nathan Lyon becoming a nightmare for the Indian batsmen in this series, and nightmare for the major batsmen like Chedeshwar Pujara, Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma. I will tell you why I say the nightmare. Hazlewood was the pick of the wickets, although Nathan Lyon taking the wickets, he took the 2 wickets, but the pick of the wickets was Hazlewood because every other was the 2-2-2 each. Hazlewood topped the bowling with the 3 wickets. Brilliant bowling by India later on, and bowlers to I will tell you that when the Australian batting came up, we were not expecting quick burst from the Indian bowlers, and some brilliant fast bowling display from Ishant Sharma. Amazing scenes of fast bowling and shattering the wickets, and it was reminding everyone of the great Wasim Akram, Waqar Younis and Shoaib Akhtar and the Pakistani pace battery spoiling the wickets all around the ground. And what Ishant Sharma was doing, Ishant, Ravichandra Ashwin and Jasprit Bumrah didn't give the space to Australia to breathe. This was the beauty of this Indian team, which I have noticed, that in spite of failure of the batting mysterio Virat Kohli, they showed as a one unit team, and they showed how to win the game, how to bounce back in the game after getting 4 or 5 wickets cheaply, going on below 50 runs. Anyways, bowlers now to dismiss the most left-handed batsman in the test. This is something very interesting because Ravichandra Ashwin, who was striking in this very match against the Aussies, he is on the 180 wickets now against the left-handers. The overall record shows the best one against the left-handers, and the world record is the 191 of Muttiah Muralidharan, and I hope might be in this series Ravichandra Ashwin, if he is fit for the next test, he may break this record. 6 dismissals in an innings by an Indian wicketkeeper. First, this record was achieved by Rishabh Pant equalizing the record of the Indian best with a Syed Kirmani in the Christchurch 1976, 5 catches with 1 stumping, and then MS Dhoni at the Wellington in 2009, 6 catches, and Vriddhi Saha in North Sound 2016, 5 catches and 1 stump. At this point, when he reached up to the mark of 6, he matches the Indian best, but yet the best had to come. Travis Head was the top scorer with the 72 runs, and the Peter Handscomb at the very crucial 34 and the handy 34 to have a decent total against the India later on down the track. Ravichandra Ashwin and Bumrah with the 3 each wickets. Pick of the wickets, 180 out of Ravichandra Ashwin's 341 wickets have been against the left-handers now. This is the key bit of the Ravichandra Ashwin bowling, and that's why I'm telling you that he will cross Muttiah Muralidharan very soon. Only now I have told you Murali has dismissed more lefties than him. Among bowlers with 100 plus test wickets, only Dilaran Pereira 55.10 percentage has a higher percentage of left-handed victims than Ashwin, who are currently playing in the test cricket. India started their second innings later on with a brilliant opening partnership once again. The last time Indian openers on the Australian soil when outlasted 20 overs. This was the most toughest part for the Indian openers, whether they are in the era of Shrikant and Sunil Gavaskar, or whether they are in the era of Virender Sehwag or Sachin Tendulkar. This was the toughest part to last stand in the opening test of the series versus Australia in Australia, and they were of course Viru and Goti, Virender Sehwag and Gautam Gambhir, and the Centurion in December 2010 in South Africa versus Springboks. And now this was the 63 runs partnership which laid the foundation of victory for India in the second match. India's highest opening partnership in the test at Adelaide. The best one was the 95 with the great Sunil Gavaskar and Krish Machari Shrikant in 1985, and then C. Chauhan and Gavaskar making 77 back in the 80s in the era of Bishan Singh Bedi, and then Sehwag and Akash Chopra making 66 in 2003 before the Pakistan tour when they went to the Australia, which I recall as the Lakshman tour, what Lakshman did to the Australia and that tour. And now they have made again the 63, the fourth best of the Murli Vijay and KL Rahul in this series. Again Pujara made brilliantly 71. Pujara showed consistently how to do the batting on these tracks, how to spin Australia around the boundaries, and how to detrack them, and how to demoralize them, and how to demoralize the sledging which Australians are doing. These Cheteshwar Pujara has shown with his beauty in this very much series. Down the order, Ajika Rehana, who is always having a best percentage of the batting better in the second innings. Again he proved why he is best in the second innings. He is having a percentage of above 71.5 when he bats for the second time for the India, and then he came in a very valuable 70 runs he added to the Indian victory. And Rohit Sharma now cheaply they got him out before he made 34, but Rohit couldn't do much wonders with the bat. Rohit Sharma at Adelaide, if 2014 I may tell you, first inning he was dismissed by Lyon, and in the second innings he was again dismissed by Nathan Lyon. If I go to the 2018, very interesting, first innings and the second innings again he was dismissed by Nathan Lyon. He played 8 innings versus Australia and he has been dismissed 5 times by Nathan Lyon, as I have told you in the headline that I will tell you what Nathan Lyon is doing against the cricket greats of India, like the likes of Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli and these guys. And now I will tell you that Pujara at Adelaide 2014, first innings and second innings, both he was dismissed by Nathan Lyon, as I told you. The second innings he was only in the 2018 in the first innings he was run out unfortunately, but the second innings again trapped by Nathan Lyon once again. So 6 for Lyon and 3 for Stark. Amazing bowling performance for the Nathan Lyon in the losing cause, just like as the Yasir Shah, the Pakistan spin beauty, did it against the touring side and the touring Kiwis and the touring New Zealand. What happened back in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. Bowlers dismissing Virat Kohli most often in the test. Now 6 times for the Nathan Lyon he has dismissed Virat Kohli, while 5 times James Anderson and the Chris Broad, the paceman from England, they removed Kohli, and 4 times by Peter Siddle, Morni Morkel and Adil Rashid. And Australian bowlers to dismiss Kohli most time. The only Australians, if I go, then again the top of the line evergreen Nathan Lyon 6 times, Peter Siddle 4 times, Johnson 3 times, and Ben Hyfenhaes 3 times he dismissed Virat Kohli. And 8 times now Pujara has overall fallen to the Nathan Lyon in the test cricket. The most he got out to the bowler, he joins by the Lyon, he has dismissed a batsman along with Alistair Cook, because Alistair Cook has also been dismissed by Lyon the same number of times as he has dismissed Cheteshwar Pujara. Most Indian batsmen from Adelaide playing 11 has been dismissed often in their career by Nathan Lyon. This was something very strange. Might be they were under the pressure of the Strats or the Nathan Lyon, or they were struggling against him. Although India is playing very good to the Spain, but again they were not struggling surprisingly against the fast bowling and on the wicket, on this low bouncy wicket, but they were struggling against Lyon. 8 times now Pujara has fallen to line. 7 times Ajika Rehana has fallen to line. 6 times Kohli and Ishant Sharma has fallen to line. 5 times Ashwin and Rohit Sharma has fallen to line, and 4 times now KL Rahul has fallen to the Nathan line on the different circumstances. The last time Australia chased down such big target, because India has given them the 300 plus target to chase to win a test match in their own home, they say Adelaide Oval. But the last time, what I was telling you, when Australia chased down 250 plus in the 4th innings, which is a huge daunting task for any team, that was at the New Year's Eve in the Sydney Cricket Ground in 2006 versus Springboks, when the South Africa was the touring team on the Australian tour. The top 7 batsmen, if I tell you at that time, Australia successfully chased the target in the SCG versus South Africa. But do you want to know who were those batsmen from the Australia who chased this target? Oh God, Justin Langer, Hayden, Ricky Ponting, Brett Hodge, Mike Hussey, Andrew Simons, and one of my favorites, Adam Gilchrist. They chased the target, but that was the beauty of the Australian team, and that was the team to beat at that time. Sean Marsh was the only one in the 2nd innings who reached the double figures for the first time in the 7 test innings overall. 6 innings in the team's 2nd innings, Sean Marsh. This is the first time after 6 innings when Sean Marsh reached to the double figures, but ultimately he reached to the 70. He made a good score. He made a top contribution from the top order, but he couldn't succeed to make Australia make Australia reach to the victory point. Tim Paine, he was got out on 41. The wicketkeeper captain, brilliant innings. Under pressure he played. One time when they were playing, there was a huge partnership. It was looking that they will sail smoothly, but then India occasionally getting the wicket in the intervals. Brilliant partnership. Then down the order, if you see, between the Nathan Lyon and the Mitchell Starc. Mitch Starc was playing brilliantly. Some of his cover drives I have seen was more brilliant than the Indian skipper Virat Kohli. I was wondering from where they are coming, but Mitchell Starc was playing wonderfully, but it was too tough to handle the Indian pressure by the Mitchell Starc, and ultimately he edged towards the slip where they were ready to caught him. And then at the end, the last hope, Hazelwood was there, Nathan Lyon and Hazelwood, but couldn't last long because the Ashwin trap was too strong. And don't forget that in between also India dropped the catch. If the catch would not have dropped, Rishabh Pant could have made the new world record, which he has equalized, I will tell you now soon, but he didn't break that world record. Nathan Lyon and Bumrah. Nathan Lyon from Australia and Jasprit Bumrah from India were the only players in this first test Adelaide Oval who remained not out, and bowlers could not make them out. Lyon made important 24 and 38 not out, while Bumrah was not out on 0 on both the occasions. He was sporting his partner. Most dismissals for the wicket keeper, what I was telling you, for the Rishabh Pant. At the one stage, they were when the Rishabh Pant made the 10 catches, he equalized the record of Viridi Saha versus South Africa, Cape Town 2018, and he broke the record of MS Dhoni in 2014 versus Australia at Melbourne Cricket Ground in the home of cricket in Australia. And then when he took the next wicket, he broke already the best time Indian record, but he equalized the world's best with a Jack Russell, the English keeper, in the 1996 World Cup. Most dismissals by a wicket keeper in a test, it was made first time by the Jack Russell 11 versus South Africa, Johannesburg in 1995. He was the keeper to watch in the 1996 World Cup when the English team came to Indo-Pak and Sri Lanka to play the World Cup. Unfortunately, they couldn't succeed in that World Cup, but he was brilliant behind the stumps. Then the 11 was the record, which was equalized by the great AB de Villiers versus Pakistan in Johannesburg in 2013. And now Rishabh Pant versus Australia, he has equalized the record of 11. One more if he would have done and he would not have dropped, he would have broke the world record. Most for the India now, 11 for the Pant, 10 for the Saha, 9 for the Dhoni. 35 caught dismissals in this match. This is most by any match in the history of cricket. 35 dismissals they were caught. When the 34th batsman caught out in this test, that time it equaled the record of the equalized the record of the most caught dismissals in the test, along with the Sandpaper Gate test, the famous test in the Cape Town earlier the year when David Warner and Stephen Smith, the skipper, was banned from playing the international cricket. South African Australian test in the Cape Town that have seen 34 batsmen got dismissed, and in that one catch was for the Peter Handscomb, who was a substitute fielder in that match. The most ever this was at that time in 2300 matches. But now this record no more exists. The previous before that Sandpaper test, the best record was the 33 catches in the Perth test between Australia and India in 1992, the famous series I was telling you that happened before the 1992 World Cup. So it's a time for a short break, but before we go to the break, it's a time for something to tell you, the trivia factor, before I may proceed to the last part of the show after the break. So here we go for the trivia factor. Today, in today's date, as I told you about the Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar, one of the trivia that he was the youngest one to take a wicket on a debut, or the youngest Indian. Now there's another record and another trivia for the today's date, that in today's date this is a very interesting date, because this was about one of the Mysterio from the cricket West Indies. He was none other but the Brian Charles Lara. Both did debut against Pakistan. Both did debut in Pakistan. Both did debut against Imran Khan's Pakistan. So this was the great day when rest has to come for the 2 decades, and later on great Brian Charles Lara went on to smash the 2 records. First time when he made 365, later on the highest test score was broken by the Matthew Hayden, and later on, right after 6 months, this record was snatched back, and the world was waiting for so many decades, but he couldn't wait for 6 months. Again he snatched the record of the most runs in the international cricket, in the single batsman, in the single test inning, and the longest test inning. 400 not out was made, and rest is history. We will take a short break. You are watching E-Awaaz, and we will be right back. Welcome back after the break. We were discussing India versus Australia. India takes on Australia in an historic win, 31-run win in the Adelaide Oval in the Australia's den, and we were discussing about the Indian bowling lineup and the Ishant Sharma, the great contribution from the Indian bowlers. And Ishant, he also superbly bowled, and what you can dream of from the Indian bowlers, the best they did in this test. Around the wicket, over the wicket, every part they covered brilliantly, and then smashing the Australian wickets around the ground. Ishant Sharma completed 50 wickets against Australia. First wicket was Ricky Ponting, and the Ponting was the captain in that match. 25th wicket when Ishant Sharma took, that was for the Michael Clarke, and Clarke was the captain of the Australian team. Now he took 50th wicket, and he took the 50th wicket once again from the Australian captain Tim Paine. He was captaining the match. Australia's record when chasing 200 plus targets in Adelaide in the last 100 years is something very unbelievable. Are you knowing? I think you will not be knowing, and you will be surprised at this factor. In the last 100 years when Australia is going to chase the runs on this very ground. Total chases are 14. They lost 6 games and they never won the game. While chasing in Adelaide Oval when there is a target of 200 runs, while they draw the matches, there were 8 drawn games on this very ground. India lead especially was the 320 was the big psychological advantage for the team India and for the batting mastery of Virat Kohli, who was knowing this is a huge target for the struggling new Aussies team. India is the second Asian side to win the first test of a series in Australia after Pakistan did it at MCG, Melbourne Cricket Ground, in the era of Imran Khan and Sarfaraz Nawaz in 1978-79, that famous spell of Sarfaraz Nawaz when Australia was surprised against Pakistan. So this was the second Asian team after that to win the opener. Closest test wins for the India by runs are in the 2004 13 runs versus Australia and Mumbai, and 28 versus England in Kolkata 78-73, and now versus Adelaide versus Australia 31 in 2018. This is the second instance of India winning 3 tests outside Asia in a calendar year after 3 wins back in the New Zealand in 1968. Virat Kohli is the first Indian captain to win the test in Australia, England and South Africa. As I told you in the beginning, Rahul Dravid, MS Dhoni all have done this, but they have never done it in Australia. Australia lost the opening test versus South Africa in 2008, about 10 years ago also. On all these 3 previous occasions, these teams went on to win the series. So this is very important what I told you. India is in a best chance to win this series, and the track record shows that whoever did it by beating Australia in the first test, they did it, except Pakistan, because Pakistan also not lost the series. Pakistan drew the series. The series remained 1-1 in that 1978-79. Last 3 instances of Australia losing the first test of a home season before against India in Adelaide, that was against 2016-17 versus South Africa in Perth, and the first time when it happened, that was 1988-89 versus West Indies at Brisbane Gabba. But right now I think we are not seeing any match at the Gabba. India have never won the first test of a series in Australia. In all the previous 11 opening tests, they lost 9 and they have drawn 2 games. Australia lost this test their second time in the last 3 seasons. They begin their home summer with a defeat. First time versus South Africa at Perth, the Waka pitch in 2016-17, and prior to this, as I told you, they lost against West Indies, the Viv Richards West Indies in Brisbane Gabba. So these were the only 2 instances. India also became the first Asian team to win the test in the same season against the 4 different opponents, and all against the West. Never any Asian team has done it in the one season. The record remains intact, and among captains who have not lost a toss after winning a toss, Don Bradman is the second best after the great Virat Kohli. Kohli now 20 tests, 9 wins and 1 draw in 10 matches. He never lost a match while winning the toss. Win percentage in test after winning toss, this is Virat Kohli now 85%. Stephen Waugh, the World Cup winning captain of 99, 74.10. Ricky Ponting 67.5 with a great Misbahul Haq 62%. Michael Clark and 58.3. Highest win percentage by the captains in the test, Stephen Waugh 71.92 is the highest percentage ever achieved by any cricketer, and there should be minimum 30 matches in this victory. What do I believe? Ricky Ponting at the second Australian great and the 2-time World Cup winning captain and the part of the 3 World Cups winning side, 62.33 percentage, and at the third Kohli is there in their race at 58.13. Most wins in the test by an Indian captain. Overall now Kohli is going to break the record soon. Dhoni having the 27 win record while Virat Kohli is still playing, having the 25 record, while Sourav Ganguly, who is the pioneer of away wins, having the 21 record. All 11 Australian batsmen batted for minimum till the Mitchell Stark and the Hazelwood, they played 35 balls in this chase. Interestingly, this was also the unique record. 15 plus runs partnership on every wicket, number 1 to 10, is the world record in the chases. Australia also equalized that record. Cheteshwar Pujara, he was the only batsman to score 50 plus in all the India's 3 away wins in 2018. 50 of 179 in the first innings, Johannesburg against South Africa, then against England he made 72 of 208 at the Trent Bridge against the English side, and now against Australia he made the brilliant 123 and 71 at Adelaide, all 3 in the winning causes. That is enough to earn for him the man of the match record. Test man of the match awards in Australia by the Indians, and on the Australian soil Sachin is having the maximum 3, Cheteshwar Pujara is having 1, while Dravid, Ganguly, Irfan Pathan, Vishwanath, Kapil Dev, Shastri and Krish Machari, Sirikant all have 1 each man of the match award in Australian soil. Only 2 times India won the test in the Adelaide. 1 time the Dravid was the man of the match in 2003, and now Cheteshwar Pujara in 2018 he was the man of the match. In first test, Kohli lost 15 points in the ICC test rankings because of his poor batting. First time there was a failure of Virat Kohli, and he is at the verge of losing the point, at the verge of losing the number 1 spot in the test games. Because who is the rival? The rival who destroyed Pakistan in Abu Dhabi. From 935, Kohli has come back to the 920. He is declining. Virat Kohli is 920, and the second on the line is Kane Williamson with 913 points in the international ranking. If Kohli fails in the second test and he couldn't bat in the second test, Williamson for a sure will cross him and he will lose the first spot and he will become the number 1 batsman. Kane Williamson is in a chance. Second test match, it starts in the Perth. Last Indian to smash a test century at the Perth is Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar, who did it in 1992 just before the World Cup, that famous series. Most test runs by Indian at each Australian venue. If I go at MCG, it was by Sachin, Brisbane by Jeshema, Sydney and Perth by Sachin, and the Adelaide, the maximum runs have been created by Virat Kohli. So at the end of the show, what we do before wrapping the show, it's a time for a killer factor. Bring the music on. As I was telling you about the Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar and about his records in the international cricket, and when we were comparing at the different grounds the performance of different Indians on the Australian soil, something in the killer factor to tell you about Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar, who has virtually broken all the records of Indian batting. Still the Virat Kohli has to come, but at his time he has broken nearly all the possible records. Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar, who was the king of making centuries, and he has made every possible score with the Indian team. But this is not my killer factor. Killer factor is this, that if we go to the 0 to 100, Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar has scored, you name the number and he has scored it. If you say 0, he has scored it. You say 1, he has scored it. Every number he has scored it. But this is the killer factor, that number 58 and the number 75, these are the only 2 digits which has been never scored by Sachin. Else than this, every other possible number from 0 to 100, Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar has scored in the international cricket. This was the killer factor. So you would have liked it. When the next time I will come back with the same energy, and I will give you some exciting news from the Pakistan camp, that what's going on in the rehearsal of the Boxing Day test, and I will also tell you that what happened at WACA Perth. Can Australia beat India to come back in the series? Can Tim Paine can create the history of his ancestors and the followers, and he can jump into the boots of Ricky Ponting, and can they level India 1-1, or can Indian skipper Virat Kohli can take the inaccessible lead in the second match? This will all be there on the story on the air when we will come on the match point. You were watching Match Point. I'm Dr. Adnan, and take care, and we will be seeing you and catching you next week. Take care and bye bye. Hello to all of you on the new episode of Match Point, and I welcome all of my viewers. And today is a special show on India versus Australia, as India takes on Australia in their home. And as that what Ishant Sharma is doing and how was his average in this match. So keep watching Match Point. Quickly, I will take a short break. When I will come back from the short break, I will jump to Ishant Sharma.